book. It was challenging, the first one.
Because he wanted to be in the place of love.
Somebody came up with the idea.
And he was 100% accurate in his prediction.
Selenium, iodine, or calcium, you don't have to know any of that stuff. All you have to be able to do is chew.
So welcome. I'll tell you, it's a terrific thing to be here tonight. It's an amazing thing that we have to step out of the mainstream in order to get certain information and certain knowledge, because I don't think there's too many of us here who really trust the system any longer for really anything. Is there anyone here that is a believer in our establishment, any aspect of our establishment? They used to call me like a nut when I would talk to people about this type of thing when I first started in this field of naturopathic medicine. I was a patient of Dr. Bernard McFadden in the 1940s, became a student of naturopathic medicine in the 50s, and have been practicing this form of medicine since the 1960s. And when I would begin to start to talk to people about the alternative to orthodox drug medicine, people say, you can't listen. You cannot listen to those health nuts. You cannot listen to those food fattists. You can't listen to those quacks. And guess who's coming to see us now? The very people. They said, oh, you don't want to take those vitamins. Whatever you do, don't take those vitamins. You're going to kill yourself taking vitamins. Be careful of vitamins. Take our drugs, though. Lots and lots of drugs. Don't take any of the vitamins, whatever you do. You'll kill yourself. Well, and the one thing you got to be very careful of is hypervitaminosis. Be careful. Whoa, 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 whoa. You take too much. And still to this day, we are brainwashed people. We are definitely a brainwashed people. They got this in our psyche. They started with us when we were in the cradle, and they keep going until the grave. This is where they keep working on us and working on us and working on us. Few of us understand that our minds have been taken away from us by the establishment. When we hear things like the Fed, we think that, wow, that's really good. We're secured by the Fed. Does anybody know who the Fed is? When they say, who is Barack Obama, I'd like to say, who is the Fed? Who is the Treasury Department? Who is the Department of Health and Welfare and Human Services, and right down the whole line? I'd like to be asking them these types of things. Because we have reached a point to where we just cannot trust anymore. We cannot trust the system, and if we cannot trust our economic system, if we cannot trust our government, if we can't trust the people who we are depending on, how can we begin to trust a system that the whole system is putting more poisons into the body? And this is what orthodox drug medicine is, people. It's a system of poisoning. They call it modern day medicine, modern day medical science. This is guts. This is audacity. Because I've got articles down at the booth, and we invite everybody down at the booth. We've got more literature, free literature, than this whole place put together. I guarantee you. Go around to every single booth. We have got more free literature that is timely, significant, will make you think. But I have one on there that will take you back to Egyptian sorcery. 3,500 years ago, the sorcerer, guess who the sorcerer was? The sorcerer was the drug maker 3,500 years ago. And what do we have today? We have sorcerers, but we changed the name. That's the only difference we did. It's now science, medical science we call it. But I'd like someone to explain to me, if there's any medical doctors here, how you take a sick person, debilitated all the way down as far as you can go, where cancer now is in the bones. Cancer is every single system of the body. The body is debilitated because you are inundated from toxins, and then take the most toxic substance on this planet and put it into the body and somehow or other expect that the body is somehow going to heal. I'd like someone to explain that to me. How we can take the body and Hiroshimaize it. And I have an article exactly on that. If you haven't read that article, you want to read the article. And it refers to something that the modern boys and girls now, we have a lot of girls in this field too now, the modern medicine, they want to put everyone but everyone has got to get the CT scan. And I have people coming in and they show me these scans. Oh, my doctor took this scan. And look at this. Look how nice. Look at my liver. And my doctor is so wonderful. He found cancer. Oh, he found cancer, huh? Yeah, he saved my life. Well, how did he save your life? Well, he found the cancer by shooting in Hiroshima with as much atomic radiation if you were at ground zero at Hiroshima, and then said, look, we got to come back next month. We've got to check you again. So we then sent you to Nagasaki and hit you again. And this is what we call modern-day medicine. Toxins, toxins, toxins. They can't get enough toxins in us. Now, we're bad enough ourselves with the choices that we make because we're all busy. Every single one of us are busy. So what do? We take the breakfast of champions, put that in there. Put a little sugar on the top and woof down our Starbucks, and that's breakfast. And it's like amazing the people that come into my office and we talk to them, we bring them in for this consultation. We do something very unique. We do a in-depth nutrition testing, personal health evaluation program. That is, you're not going to get this at. You're not going to get it at your hospital. You're not going to get it from your doctor. You're not going to get it anywhere. This is in-depth stuff where we take a look at you as an individual. We take a look at your biochemistry, and we can tell you through using the latest scientific breakthrough in blood diagnostics what systems of your body are underperforming. And from there, we can start to set a program up for you as to what you can do. First of all, with foods and supplements, detoxification, and certain therapies that we're going to touch on a little bit tonight that you can begin to start to help yourself with. But one of the first things is, you heard how many times you are what you eat. This is where it starts. And come tomorrow night to the nutrition panel. That's always interesting because they put me on there. They set me up. They set me up. They put me in with Mr. Wheatgrass. They put me in with Mr. Flax and carrot juice. And wait till you hear this Victor. This guy, I have to tell him, I'm going to have to say something that, look, this is 90 minutes. The audience is supposed to participate. It's supposed to be where the panelists speak, and then the audience has a chance to speak, and we all speak, and we all learn from each other. Oh, no, not with old Victor. He'll get up there and talk for 90 minutes. Not tomorrow night. I won't allow it. You know what I'm talking about. Some guys get up there, they just keep talking and talking and talking. You should be able to say what you have to say in a certain length of time and move on, and especially in a panel. In a panel, you have a back and forth. You're going to have different ideas. You're going to have different concepts and everything. But they do set me up. They put me in with all of these super veggies and raw. And look, I believe in this stuff. Believe me, when we put you through detoxification, you're not going to see any little diddle-dabble, do you? People that go to my boot camp, they go through a real fast. We teach you how to fast because fasting goes all the way back into our history as the methodology for detoxification because we don't realize the bioenergy that it takes, people, to break down food. Now, we're assuming that we're eating real food, but we're going to get to that in a little bit. The things that God put into the earth, that's what we're talking about. If you put nothing else but what God put into the earth, into your body, and you took that, it would take bioenergy. But what would happen is we would, over a process of time, eliminate the byproduct. We would store the nutrients that we would need for reserve, and our bodies would rebuild, and we would rebuild, and we would rebuild, and we would hold on to vigor, youth, vitality. We would not have symptoms. We believe in our form of medicine that every symptom, every body sign, every signal, every little ache that you have, every reason that you go down to old doctor with the M period D after his name, who drugged you up and drugged you up and drugged you up from the cradle to the grave, every one of those little ditties that you have, tummy ache and headache, and every one of these is a sign of a nutritional deficiency. That's right. Every single one of them. Come to my class on how to look for these things. There's many things you look for yourself. Maybe you can't go through the evaluation. Maybe you can't afford this. Maybe anything. Maybe you have other priorities. Maybe putting a rouge on your face and new clothes and new shoes and a new TV. Maybe that's more important than your health. And maybe this is low. This is very low until the old cancer comes in or the heart disease comes in or strokes come in. Oh, then all of a sudden, oh, doctor, fix me. Fix me. I'll mortgage the house, mortgage the ranch, do anything I can. What we talk about in naturopathic medicine is prevention. Body, mind, spirit medicine is preventative medicine, people. We don't want the aches. We don't want the pains. If we have aches and pains, there's something not going right. And it's usually deficiencies. If we have deficiencies, what happens is the body is not going to be able to efficiently, in a timely fashion, throw off the wrongs that you are doing to yourself. Oh, me? I'm a sinner? Jesus said, unless ye repent. He was using the Tower of Siloam, where the tower fell down and 18 people died. Oh, and the Pharisees at the time said, oh, they must have been really terrible sinners. He said, don't think they're any worse sinners than you are. Unless you repent, you likewise shall perish. And of course, he was talking on a spiritual note, but the spiritual, we believe, is connected to the mental, which is connected to the physical. And in God's economy, we don't separate these things. People come to us and they say, well, what's the church? Do you mean I have to make confessions? Yes, you have to make confessions. Confessions to God above. But I want to know, when I sit down with you, what do you have for breakfast? And you'd be surprised the confessions that I get. And you'd be surprised, oh, I eat healthy, I'm holistic, I'm this, I'm a veggie, I'm a vegan. Oh, okay, very good, good. I'll take everybody for their word, and I'm taking my little notes and say, well, what do you usually have for breakfast? Well, I have the breakfast for champions, and then I have my Dunkin' and my donut, and I say, okay, yeah, I don't make any. Okay, now tell me, what about lunch? Oh, lunch, we have the Whopper and the golden fries and the... Do you know that I have patients that when I get into the programming and I tell them, look, your liver is sluggish. I want you to start to do something about this liver before a liver disease sets in. If I let you go the way you're going, like your doctor just told you that you're perfectly fine, the numbers are all perfectly fine, all these symptoms are all in your head, play the violin away. You know what I'm talking about. It's all in your head. Yeah, it's all in your head. Yeah? But in the meantime, you can't walk out of the office. You can't do anything. Well, one of the things we come up with very often is the liver is not working the way it should. It's not filtering efficiently. It's designed to really filter and filter well. So now we got to start to rehabilitate this. And I tell people, here's what we need to do. We're going to get food medicines in you. I'm going to give you some supplements. I'm going to get you on some juices. We're going to do some therapies. But you've got to help yourself. Don't just come and lean on me and think that you're just going to come in here and I'm going to do all this. You've got to help yourself a little bit. You know that, right? You're never going to fall asleep on me, are you? Okay. So what I say is, look, you got to take some dandelion, and you got to run that through the juicer, and you're going to have to take some beets, because these are the best medicines in the world. The doctor's not going to give you these medicines. You're going to run them through your juicer, and here's how many ounces. And looking at me, like I just came down from like one of these space things here. I said, what's the matter? Am I not explaining them? Am I going too fast? No, would you tell me, doctor, what is a beet? Why did we put a title like this together? Detox or die. I got to hand it to every single person here tonight. You got guts to come in and to even dare to listen to something like this. Because I've tiptoed through the tulips for many, many years. Oh, you got to change your diet. You got to take your vitamins. Well, my doctor says I shouldn't take vitamins. I should take Bayer aspirins, and I should take my antibiotics and my birth control pills. And oh, he has something here for the La La Land drugs, because he says I've been under a lot of stress. So I need the La La Land drugs. You see a great percentage of people on La La Land drugs. Do you know why people are on La La Land drugs? Because they are toxic. Because they are deficient. Because their bodies are breaking down. Because they're hurting. And the doctor, with the M period, D period after his name, went through a so-called medical school, which was really a conditioning center. A conditioning center controlled by the pharmaceutical trust. The enemy of the people, enemy number one. We got two enemies that we're dealing with. Enemy number one, at one time, was the proudest profession in this nation. And that was the people that prepared our foods for us. The farmers and the people preparing the foods, these were people who, they were proud when the United States of America was number one on this planet in total health, number one in longevity, number one in physical fitness. I remember it. Some of you maybe say, oh, you're dating yourself. Well, that's okay. We were number one. Today, people, we are 99th in life expectancy. We are 101 in total health. And they just announced on when they announce it different than when they used to announce it. If you ever watch the TV, they have the blabber guy on there. He's blabbing away, blabbing. And you don't realize it, but he's brainwashing you. And then the real news, they sneak in over this little teletype thing that goes over there. Beep, beep, beep. All your money has gone out of the banks, but trust the treasury. Beep, 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 beep. And take your flu shots. And here comes the swine flu. Beep, 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 beep. And they brainwash us subliminally day and night, and we just take it. We take it. Fortunately, there's a few people like yourself that at 9 o'clock at night on a Friday, where you could be doing all kinds of things in the Big Apple, you come to a sort of an odd place like this, a new life, and then you listen to the screwiest of the screwiest, the naturopath, who's going to talk to you about detox or die. Yeah. I don't tip through the tulips anymore. I'm just reaching a point now that I'm not going to do it. Oh yeah, you got to take some of the fat off. I don't do that anymore. You got to detox, or it's die. Enemy number one, food industry. The food industry is making us sick. You cannot eat 80% of what's sold in the supermarkets and think that there's no consequences. I don't care how good your heredity is, how good your genes are. At some point, the body cannot repair on the Skippy peanut butter or Cheese Whiz or Wonder Bread and Dunkin' and donuts and gooey and pooey, and this is what they're selling. And just check it out yourself, okay? You may think, well, this is like, but just when you see the people pushing the push cart down the push, it like amazes me. I'm going to start to video this, what people have there, so people will see here. And I'll video like 100 people, and you'll see that out of 100 people, you might see maybe 3 or 4 that put healthy things in there. Most of the people that just pile the stuff up with bread, with sugar, with look at this one thing that they have. You go down the aisle, and they got this stuff piled from the ground all the way up to the ceiling. Am I crazy when I say this? Things go better with Coke, and people believe it. Like zombies. Here's the Zombieville. Okay? And then, of course, when there's no nutrients in the body falls apart. You now have complaints. You then have symptoms. The doctor says, don't take any of those vitamins. Don't listen to those naturopaths and those nutritionists and those chiropractors. They're going to kill you with a chiropractic adjustment. You know that. And you certainly don't want to be listening to those nutrient people and those naturopath nuts and alternative medicine doctors. Please don't do that. Just, well, doctor, what do I eat? What do I eat, doctor? Did you ever have this experience? I listen to this every single day. So to me, I'm just overwhelmed with it. What did the doctor tell you? Oh, he said just eat anything. Well, you're a cancer patient. Did the doctor explain to you that certain foods actually contribute to the cancer? No, he said just as long as I get enough calories in me. Oh, okay. Did he differentiate the calories? Oh, no. Just anything I want. Anything you want. Do you think that maybe had anything to do with what got you into trouble? It's going to be detox or die. Because if you're part of this system, if you push your push cart down the aisle and you're not conscious of what I'm talking about, you are subject to enemy number 1, the food industry. But then, when you get sick, we did have a proud profession at one time, and that was the medical profession. Most of the doctors then were general doctors, or general practitioners, they called them. And they knew a little bit about everything, and as a family doctor, and I remember the doctor coming with the little bag to the house for a $2 house call. You couldn't get the doctor to the house for a $200 house call. I guarantee you that. You're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. So we have enemy number 1, then we have enemy number 2. Enemy number 2 are the poisoners, the druggers, the sorcerers. Oh, I know it's a nice name, modern day medicine, but we are inundated. This is before we get into the business of our environment. You know, Al Gore was a very talented guy. Vice President of the United States, won this award and everything, and he's got everybody all scared to death over something that possibly could happen. I think the jury is still out. I don't subscribe to it 100%. I suppose it's possible. But maybe 200 years from now, it's possible that the temperatures could go up a point or 2 points or something like that. We could have some of the ice melting, and could have the water going up and all this stuff. It's like about 200 years from now, maybe. Some of the scientists tell us that this is just part of a longer cycle of hundreds and maybe thousands of years. But my point is, we have something going on right now, this very instant, in our environment that is killing each and every single one of us. Disease is going up. Environmental factors are a major contributing factor to this. Our true scientists. Now, when I use the term true scientists, I do this in my articles. I clarify what I mean by true scientists. True scientists, in my definition, are scientists and doctors and researchers not on the payroll of the International Pharmaceutical Trust, because they are make-believe. They will have you think that white is black and black is white and pink is green. They can do anything. They can do anything at all. No one really understands. I need to have like a class just on how they come up with these so-called studies and how they manipulate these things to make it basically whatever they want to make it. That's what it comes down to. And most of us are beginning to realize this when we see things like taken off the market because hundreds of thousands of our fellow citizens are being murdered in cold blood and not a single person stands up and says, we're sorry. And we have our FNDA who stands behind it because they're part of the problem. They're not part of our solution. We have the wolves and the foxes taking care of the chickens. So we have a compounding of the problem because we have 15,000 new toxic substances being entered into our environment every single year, and no one's stopping it, including our ex-governess from New Jersey, a total incompetent, if there ever was one, when it comes to environment. There is no such thing as protecting the environment, because if you're protecting the environment, wouldn't we be thinking in terms of what's being dumped into the environment? Wouldn't we be thinking about the most important thing to each and every single person, the biggest nutrient deficiency that each and every single one of us has, and that's oxygen? How much oxygen do you think you're breathing in this city? Our true scientists told us by studying of the fossils, and this is an interesting study of fossils. They said that at one time, back in our history, we breathed in 52% oxygen. And this was the time when people lived as many centuries on this planet as we do decades. Somebody said, oh, they don't know how to count time. Those people know how to count time a lot better than we can count time, I'll tell you that. Much, much better than we count the time. So we have, basically what I'm talking about is a colossal problem. The problem is toxins. Exogenous toxins, which means it's coming from the outside. We don't have much control of it. I mean, you can march on Washington if you want, but I don't know if that does any good. Sometimes I would like to get a group of men and maybe some women. Some of the women are a lot tougher than the men these days. When I grew up, we protected the women. Now it seems that the women are protecting the men now. I don't know if you noticed this. There seems to be a change of roles. And this change of roles is really an amazing type of thing. So I don't think I'd have any problem taking some women along with me with some baseball bats. I don't know where I'd start. That's the part. I don't know if I'd start with the State Department. Do you know we ran this country with 7 people under Thomas Jefferson, with 7 people in the State Department. Do you know how many we have now? We got 900,000 people on a payroll, just one department, the State Department. And look what this wonderful State Department does for us. You just look at all the wonderful things they do for us. It's just absolutely incredible. We always back the wrong people. It can't be that we're that stupid. It's impossible. You couldn't find this many. If you looked out and you put ads in the New York Times saying, give me the stupidest of the stupidest. Bring them here. We got a job for you. We're going to pay you big money in the State Department. You're going to make all these decisions. It couldn't be as stupid as our State Department. And it's not just with one administration. Oh, it's those Republicans that do it to us, or it's those Democrats that. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got to be a plan to just bring us down into the category of downtown Bombay or something, downtown Lagos, or some of the places I've been on this planet. We just make everybody nice and equal. Cut out the middle class, cut out everything that there is, and just have the pharaohs that run the things, and every one of us are slaves. This is what they're doing to us with everything, even our children now. Even our children they're after now. We have a governor, a wonderful governor over in New Jersey. I know that you don't have a governor like this in New York. The governor of New York was on national television last week, and I couldn't believe he got out what he said. This guy's got something together. He started talking about the Fed and the money system, and I said, how does this truth get out and they don't cut him off? He actually said it on national TV. So I don't know what kind of job he's doing here in New York, but I know one thing, he did get some truth out here about the system. But we have a governor. See, New Jersey is the capital for the pharmaceutical industry for the world. That's why they don't like naturopaths. They don't like people like me. This is why I've been up on charges 17 times before the judges for practicing medicine without a license. An all-time record. Is anybody this crazy to go before a Gestapo court 17 times? This has got to be some kind of a lunatic here. But now we got a wonderful governor now who says that he wants to protect our children. So now he's taking preschool children and shooting them up with all of these wonderful, wonderful vaccination immunizations and line them up like cattle and shoot them up. as if autism doesn't exist. And we have our presidential candidates say, well, we're going to really put a lot of research out on this. Yeah, let's spend a couple $100 billion to learn out what the problem is. Go over to Pennsylvania. Go over to Ephrata, Pennsylvania. Go over to Lancaster. Go over to Berks County and get talking to some of the people there that are called the Amish and the Mennonites, who do not believe in vaccinating or immunizing anybody. And ask how many of their children have autism. I think that should be a pretty good little proof of things for our people in Washington and our people in Albany and for Mr. Corzine, the guy behind the scene there with our wonderful pharmaceutical trust in New Jersey. Yeah. Pumping monkey pus into our children. Cow mucus, horse urine. You know what this is? This is witchcraft. Is this guy crazy? Witchcraft? Well, does anybody, if you studied anything about history, we had the witches, and they were the people who mixed up the poisons. And no one ever knew what was in the witch's brew. Do you have any idea what is in a flu shot? Could you find out? Could anybody find out? Try to find out what's in it. Try to find out what's in the shots that they give their children, your children. I dare you. I'll give you a nice little project. You will not find out what's in there. Some of the things we know. One of the things that they shoot into our children is aborted fetal tissue. Monkey pus from diseased kidneys of monkeys. Modern day medicine, isn't it wonderful? Science, this is what we have here. And this is what is protecting we the people after they fed us with Whoppers and Big Macs and Golden Fries and Pizza Hut and Dunkin' and Donuts and Tootsie Rolls and everything else and fed this to our children. And then we have the solution for you. Modern day medicine. Now the question I have for you, and I want you to think about this a little bit. There should be a time for you to think, not just listen to what different people say, because obviously it's tied in with certain feelings and certain opinions and everything. But I just want to ask you this. Do you think that we have a health problem in this country? Next question. Do you think as a nation we're getting healthier and healthier, like our medical profession tries to propagate this garbage into our head? Oh, we have a cure for cancer around the corner. Do you know that in 1900 we had less than 2% of our national population had cancer? We declared war on cancer in 1971 under President Nixon. You know what our percentage of cancer was at that time? It was 18%. Billions. Billions and billions and billions and billions and billions and billions in the game of games. Not just the treatment. We all know that there's a game with the treatment. How can they charge me this much for this? You know, how's it possible? Oh, doctors got me broke, pumping in these poisons. But they know how to sell fear. Fear, 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 fear. And now with these scans, they're going to find something. How can you not find something? They're finding things that your own body, people, your own body, believe me when I say it, God created your body perfect. It created it with a system to break these things down, to chew them up and spit them out all by themselves. So they're finding things at the very inception of the inception. And I know there's probably people here tonight say, oh, no, you know, I took the chemotherapy and I don't have the cancer anymore. So chemotherapy must work. Well, suppose I tell you that I don't believe it. Not that you have a diagnosis of no cancer, even though I think that's probably a false diagnosis also. Because if you have cancer, you have cancer. And the worst thing that any doctor can ever shoot out of their filthy mouth is, we got all the cancer, you're perfectly clean. Because people, cancer isn't just in the lymph nodes, or in the bones, or in the pancreas, or in the stomach, or in the colon. If you've got cancer, it's because your body has gotten so screwed up with toxins, so deficient in nutrients, so unbalanced, that your chemistry, your blood chemistry, has switched over from balance over into a metabolic acidosis. It has sucked the oxygen out of the cell and has turned your body into a cesspool of fermentation. And you alone are manufacturing the cancer. Now you can cut both breasts off. I've had people come in and tell me their doctor says, we are recommending as a preventative. Listen to this for preventative medicine. Preventative medicine 101, cut the breast off. How many men you think would stand it without taking it and just punching the guy right in the mouth? Let's cut the testicles off. We're gonna protect you. We're gonna help you. It's like I'm the IRS. I'm here to help you. The doctors are helping us too, aren't they? If you don't start to take some responsibility, there's problems. Because I was telling you before that they had just last night over that little TV thing. They sneak it out. So yeah, we told you about that 5 years ago. Yeah. Over the little that are infant mortality. Now we would think that the United States of America, with more medical doctors, more hospitals, more nurses, more drugs than the rest of the world combined, should at least be able to have a fairly good infant mortality rate, wouldn't you think? Isn't this why most women have their children in the hospital and not at home? Because the safety in the hospital, right? Yep. 28th in the world, 28th, United States of America, going down the tubes, a cursed nation, because it has defied the laws of the Almighty. This is what my opinion is. You may say, well, that's probably crazy too. How could he say something like that? Well, nobody liked Isaiah when he said things like this. Nobody liked Ezekiel. Nobody liked Jeremiah. In fact, you read about these people. None of them were involved with any churches or any schools of theology at the time. They just sort of came from somewhere, and they spoke out both to the nation and to the church. People were morally corrupt. So what happened is it trickled down to every single aspect of life. And this is the problem that we have economically in our country. We think that, well, there's no connection between Wall Street and the morality of a people. You mean we can have a thief in just robbing the money and everything it has nothing to do with anything, right? We can have a pharmaceutical trust. I'm going to tell you something about pharmaceutical trust, and I want to go on because I don't want to just tell you bad news. I want to tell you that there's some solutions, okay? Good news. Good news. Jeremiah had good news. Ezekiel had good news. Jesus had good news. This is what the whole story is. It has some good news. Okay, but you have to understand that we have bad news, we had good news. But what I do want to tell you, something I think is very, very important. Some of you may be aware of this. But rather recently, we had an episode where hundreds of thousands of our fellow citizens were murdered to death by the pharmaceutical trust under a prescription drug given by every single MD. No NDs ever gave this out, but the M.Ds assigned over everybody that had any kind of pain. Just write the old prescription, take it down to the witch doctor, the sorcerer down there, fill it out. Hundreds of thousands of Americans, our fellow citizens, our mothers, our grandmothers, our brothers, our sisters, Hundreds of thousands dead. Millions maimed, crippled, compromised. Now you think, well, okay, look, somebody should come along here and say, well, we screwed up. No. So finally, the United States Senate subcommittee brings these people. I don't have really a word for them, so I'm just going to say people. And they brought them before the United States subcommittee. You must know this. You must know it. Raise your hand before the hand on the Bible. The Bible. We still have a Bible that they still... I just wonder if anybody ever picks the thing up and reads anything that might be in there. Like, thou shalt not lie to people. Thou shalt not steal off people. You shall not rape people. You think that maybe that should be maybe read, because this is what it says. Every king is supposed to read this on a daily basis. Because we don't read it, we're like lost. We're like drunks. So here we have, back at the ranch, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing else but the truth? Oh, yes, we do. So it gets down to the fact that they knew that they were killing people. They admit that. They admit it. Well, at what point did you know this? Oh, we knew this about 2 years ago. Okay. So one of the senators had the fortitude to ask, well, why? Why, oh, why, oh, why, oh? Why, oh, why, oh, why, why, oh, why, oh? Why, oh, why, oh, why, oh, didn't you tell anybody this? Reasonable question, isn't it? Answer. Our first responsibility. Get this etched into your brains, people. Etch it. Our first responsibility is to the profits of our company and our shareholders. End of quote. Do you want to trust this system? If you do, I'm going to have a little room over here. I'm going to stay after class. People don't like staying after my class. I can't understand it. You think that people would like the extra little help that I give them? You remember back in school, you know, when you didn't quite catch on the things, you stayed after and the teacher helped you a little. You'd think that people would want that, but they don't want that from me for some reason or other. What is the solution? Do we have a solution to this? Well, we've always had a solution. The problem is that part of it is the system. No question about it. We have a system that is obviously motivated not by the enhancement of health. At one time, our nation was motivated by that. People who put the food together, they were proud that, look, we can build strong bodies. We're the strongest nation in the world. We're number one in health. Look at us. And there was a time in our nation when people realized that there was a connection between the earth. We're earth people. We come from the earth. You are from the dust of the ground, which means the minerals, the nutrients from the ground. When we become deficient in these nutrients, this body of ours is going to start to break down. And you complain to the doctor, you'll go immediately on the La-Land drugs. And there was a time when the medical profession was a proud profession. It really was. There was a time when every single medical doctor went through naturopathic medical school. Now, some of them did surgery, and some of them did these different things also, but every one of them was a naturopathic doctor. In the 1920s, people, every single general practitioner had a colon hydrotherapy colonic machine in their office. Now, this is something that they would like to. I told this to the medical board, and they said, look, just get this guy out of here. But this is what the fact is. I got the facts. I got the manuals. The manuals weren't written by naturopaths. They were written by medical doctors. I got the manuals in my library. And they go through the procedures and they explain, here's how you do this procedure. I'm going to tell you something really incredible. Might be even hard for a group like this to believe. The medical doctor, no matter what the problem was, no matter what the complaint was, some people come in with a headache. Some people had earache. Some people a stomach ache. Some people had chest pains. Now, if you have chest pains today, they immediately take you and put you into the hospital, and they do the Hiroshima treatment on you. And then, you think I'm kidding you? They do. I had a gal. Remind me what I'm talking about here. I want to get back to it, but I have to tell you about this. I had a gal who was a patient who she had like a little brain fog. Okay, you know what I'm talking about? Where she'd forget things, and I don't know, forget that she had a husband. No, I don't know. I'm just kidding. So I put her on 2 products that we usually find work. One is called Brain Invigoration Powder, and the other is called Brain Food. Now, this is how you do this: a tablespoon of each. You mix it up with your juice. You do this twice a day. And the Brain Invigoration Powder does have some vasodilators in it. It forces the circulation to your brain, and it also forces it to the skin, and the skin gets red for about 10 or 20 minutes. I thought I told her this, but maybe she forgot. Hopefully I didn't forget. Hopefully I'm not that bad of a doctor. But she gets this flush, and she doesn't bother calling me. She goes right over to the Perth Amboy Hospital, and they said, we don't know what this is. We're going to check you in. This is a little flush that lasts about 20 minutes. They check her in, put her in the gurney, give her a room and everything else. Did 6 Hiroshima treatments on her. Did a bone biopsy, drilled into a hip, did a bone biopsy. Put catheters in her. Did a brain scan on her. And gave her 6 pints of blood. 6 weeks later, the bill at $96,501. They said, we don't know what the flush was. What was I talking about? I was talking about the medical profession, right? You want to know about the solution, right? Okay. Our Creator put the body together in such a way, see, where you get this information is you have to look into the books of the Old Testament, because you find little nuggets there. And Solomon, who the Bible tells us is the wisest man that ever lived, little nuggets here, little nuggets there. He says that's how you find it, and you put these things together. One thing we can be certain, this is inerrant. When the medical profession or the scientific community comes up with certain things, they come up with what they call a hypothesis. And a hypothesis is an educated guess based on which we high intellectual ones who know more than most other people. This is what we think. This is what the word theory means. We think. Now, you don't see this kind of language in the book of Deuteronomy. You don't see it in the book of Leviticus. You don't see it in the Proverbs. You don't see it anywhere in Old Testament or New Testament. It's, thus saith the Lord. This is inerrant. And we know we're from the dust of the ground, which, if we were going to take that into a modern day, words would say, okay, from the minerals, from the nutrients of the ground. Now, when we don't have these nutrients, what happens is the body is now unable to work as efficiently as it should. We're all building toxins up. Even if we did everything right, there'd still be toxins built up. So we need periodical detoxification. There's no medical school in the country since 1913 that has taught anything about detoxification principles, and the only discipline that teaches anything about detoxification is naturopathic medicine. This is, and I'm not saying that there's not different practitioners that use different aspects of detoxification. And let me see if we can just clarify what we mean by detoxification to begin with, because some people get this messed up. I had one patient about a month ago come in and said, yeah, my chiropractor detoxified me in 2 days. I said, whoa, this has got to be some incredible chiropractor. And then after a few more questions, I realized what she was talking about. She hadn't had a bowel movement in about 2 weeks, and the doctor gave her a laxative, and she had a bowel movement. And she equated the bowel movement with detoxification. Now, the bowel is one of the primary systems of the body for throwing toxins off. But we have other systems of the body also, equally important. And all of these pathways are responsible for throwing off toxins. Where do we get the toxins from? We get the toxins from living on the planet in the 21st century. We get toxins from the foods that we eat. We get toxins from the air we breathe, from the water, from the bathing. Now, some people think, well, oh, you know, I'm a vegan, I do this, I do that. Do you realize that the average woman, working woman especially, before she gets to work, has doused herself with over 1,000 toxic substances? And if you think I'm just picking on the women, I'm not, because we have now, New York City is a leader in this area here called the Metro Man. I didn't quite understand what it was, but I'm starting to catch on a little bit. I'm sort of from Hicksville, sort of like the Jersey Shore, so it takes me a little while to catch on to some of these things. But Metro Man is catching up now too, so it's stuff that goes in the hair. And then the dyeing of the hair. Where do you think this stuff goes? Then the sprays, where do you think that stuff goes? And then the stuff that you put on here, where do you think that stuff goes? And then, of course, no one would ever go out of the house without putting this on, would they? We even have Metro Men doing that now. And then we have the stuff we put in our mouth because, you breathe and stuff. And oh, wow, the breath is really bad. Why do you think the breath is bad? Do you think it's a deficiency in Sensens or Listerine or something? Your breath is bad because your colon stinks. You got a dirty colon. Your digestion's not working well. You got putrefaction, fermentation. You got rot. You got a skunk in there. I had one lady from Ocean Grove. This was really a sad, sad case. She was so toxic for so long, she was like a skunk. She was like a walking skunk. And sometimes you may meet people like this or similar to this. Everything smelled. She stunk no matter where she'd go. She'd sit somewhere in the room. It'd stink for for a couple hours before it could clean out. And it wasn't just her breath, it was everything. Every one of her eliminative organs were backed up to the hilt. So we went to work on her. It took us about 90 days to accomplish this, but she is perfectly fine. We got all systems of the body working efficiently. Now, one of the most effective systems for cleaning the body out is the elimination of the toxins from the organs of the body through the lymph system, through the skin. And this is not something that we just learned. You know that every single culture, I don't care what the culture is, you even go back to the Indians, Native Americans. I've been in Africa on a couple different trips, and the African people have different treatments in huts, and the Indians had these sweat lodges, and the Finns that brought the Finnish bath over, and the Germans, and everybody had these different treatments. In fact, I was reading something interesting where some Europeans, especially Scandinavian people, they would come into a community. The first thing they do is build their home. The second thing they would build is the church. The third thing they would build is the school. And the fourth thing was the sauna. Every single culture, I don't care where you're from Africa, Asia, from Northern Europe, from Western Europe, Eastern Europe, Native America, Eskimos, people understood innately that you can sweat garbage out of the body. They knew this innately. And this was a treatment that was just continually used. Now we have, in our country, the concept, oh, don't sweat, we don't want to sweat. In fact, they even have things, let's not sweat, let's put some aluminum under the arm. Let's get plenty of aluminum there and stop the sweating, and then we can't understand why we have these lymph nodes. But old surgeon, he knows what to do with this. Cut those lymph nodes out. You don't need those. No, you don't need that. We don't want to clean the lymph out. How do you clean the lymph out? You clean the lymph out by detoxification. In fact, people, the common denominator, listen carefully to this, the common denominator of every single disease, every single medical condition, I'm not saying it's the direct cause, but it's the common denominator, is toxicity. So our job as naturopathic educators, naturopathic doctors, naturopathic physicians, bring the level of toxicity down. And this is something that I can teach you to do. I can give you the tools to begin to do this yourself, and you're not depending on somebody shooting you up with some kind of antibiotic, shooting you up with some kind of chemotherapy agent, writing you a la-la land drug, telling you you're perfect, and abusing you like you're somebody that is some subhuman with no intelligence whatsoever, and go through this system controlled by people who raise their hands up, swear to tell the truth, nothing else but the truth, and tell you the truth. This is the biggest insult of all. They tell us the truth, and still we have people lining up, take your flu shots, cut your breast off, take chemotherapy, get your scans, get your breast shot up with radiation. We need to do that. Get your what are these things the women do here where they check this and they check that out? These things are so absurd. It touches on absolute absurdity, but it keeps the mighty system going. You've got to start to use your own brains. Start to get yourself into a program where you start to be conscious. Just a couple things you can begin to start to do. Start to be conscious of what you're drinking. Start to be conscious of every single thing you put to your lips. Clean the medicine cabinet out. Whatever's in there, throw it out. Now some people say, well, my doctor, he said that I got to have an aspirin each day. Wow. And they even take this to a new level. A new level, people. They now bring in something holy now. They now give you the blessing. It's the Pope himself now. Saint Joseph's aspirin. You get the subliminal? They got people on Madison Avenue. This is one thing I can say about New York. They got masters. Masters, hucksters that you think through things so beautiful. If you see these presidential candidates going up there, giving it, do you think they come up with these ideas themselves? They got Madison Avenue. You say you got to say it, and you got to put this twist to it, and this to it, and everything else. Do you think that either one of these guys are capable of doing anything that they're saying? Energy independence. Do you know that Nixon in 1968, he promised energy independence? Carter, every single one. What kind of independence have we got? Oh, we're going to take care of the health. We're going to take care of education. Every one of them is the same old story because what they do is they send their little drummers out, take these surveys. What would you like? What goodie would you like today? Well, I'd like my jelly beans. And I'd like the chocolate bunny. And oh, you want that? Okay. And the next thing you know, they're up there talking about jelly beans and chocolate bunnies and all these goodies we're going to give you. Wow. And this is medicine also. Do you know that for every congressman that we have in Washington, we've got five people on the pharmaceutical trusts, the big pharma payroll, as lobbyists. And these lobbyists, they don't just pay them a lousy $100,000 a year. These guys get paid big, big money. And then they have big, big bonuses when they get these things through. Big, big dollars is what they're talking about. Clean that Camden out. Now, you may have certain drugs that you're on that your life depends on it, or you think your life depends on it. You can't go off of those immediately, but I set a goal up for every one of my patients, and that's off every single drug that there is. You've got to be off of it. We have worked diligently for the last 5 years putting a system together. And when we say put the system together, the concept is not a new one. The concept goes all the way back to Hippocrates 2,500 years ago, who said, give me a fever and I'll cure any disease. So the principle was there. In 1876, Dr. John Harvey Kellogg developed the first unit. Sold tens of thousands of them. But the FDA, well, we don't know about this stuff. I'm talking about a powerful, if not the most powerful, detoxification system ever developed in the world. What we did is we studied everything from the past, studied everything that they're doing in Japan, and put a unit together that's called the world's first inexpensive, portable, ozone-infused, far-infrared detoxification sweat therapy. Now, you can come into our clinic and do this. We charge $75 a treatment for it. Or you can make the investment and the whole family benefits, and you get 2 treatments in one. One is the detoxification process of pulling toxins out. 2 is we infuse what I guarantee every single one of you are deficient in. I have met very few patients that were not deficient in oxygen at the cellular level. I need a whole class on this. In fact, I have a class that I'm going to be talking about this, I think, tomorrow or Sunday. But the oxygen is the key. We have known since 1898 the cause of every single cancer, without exception, 100% of the time, is a deficiency of oxygen at the cellular level, 100% of the time. Do we need more research? Dr. Otto Warburg won the Nobel Prize in 1931, so it took like 30 years or so in order for him to win this Nobel Prize. To this day, the thesis has never been refuted. Now, the most amazing thing about this is you'd think that every medical school in the country would be teaching this, wouldn't you? Suppose I tell you that there's not a single medical book, not a single medical school that even mentions his name. In fact, just ask every medical doctor that you run into. I'm not talking about alternative medical doctors, but orthodox doctors. Could you tell me a little something about Dr. Otto Warburg, Nobel Prize winner for medicine for the whole world, 1931? Can you tell me about him? I guarantee you won't find 1 in 100. Because this wipes out the biggest game. You think Las Vegas is a game or Atlantic City is a game. The biggest game ever dreamt up is the research game. We're going to find the cause of this. We're going to find the cause of autism. Oh, you know what it is, huh? But we're going to really help you out. We're going to find we need to find the cause of cancer. Well, we know the cause of cancer, people. It's never been refuted by the number one, or at least one of the top scientists that this nation and this world has ever seen, and they don't even want to hear about his name. So you got to take the bull by the horns yourself. You got to get oxygen in your body. And I'm not talking about just taking a good walk, because that's going to get oxygen possibly into the bloodstream. It's not going to get it into the cell. That's where the deficiency is, because as we get older, certain things start to break down. This is why these diseases start to set in. So what we have developed is a system that helps you to help yourself. So you make a little investment in your health and in your future of you and your family, and you now have a solution. You have a solution to, number one, the chemicals that we're not going to control. You have a solution to the endogenous and exogenous toxins that we're going to be confronted with. You know, we have polar bears above the Arctic Circle that they found strontium-90 in their livers. Eskimo women above the Arctic Circle. Cadmium in the mother's milk. We're on a toxic planet. Do you know that each and every single one of us has got 1,000 times the lead as our great-grandparents in our bones? You aware of that? This is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with toxins. So when I say it's either detoxify or die, I'm not tiptoeing through the tulips. What is your solution? Is it to go over to Sloan Kettering, the murder capital of the world, right here in New York City? And some people are proud. Oh, yeah, we have Sloan Kettering here. I'll tell you the steps with Sloan Kettering. It's Sloan Kettering and then hospice. They have referred more people to hospice than any place ever, because you got to get them out of the hospital to keep their percentages up. We don't have that many deaths here. No, because you got them in hospice care. Or you get them out there, they're going through, like they're croaking, and you get them out of the place. Oh, it's best you go home now. Yeah. I guarantee you, if you've got 2 cents in the bank, or if you own a home, or if your Blue Cross and Blue Shield isn't sucked out completely, you'll stay there. But then when that gets sucked out, we're going to figure out, okay, how are we going to get you out of here, because we want to have good percentages here. So what is your solution? You think that you're just going to just take it by chance and just see? The health of the nation has been declining. Now to a point to where it is now affecting our infants. In fact, if you may have noticed, if you have any dogs, the dogs are taking on the same diseases as the masters. Yeah. So this is what we have going on. We have a decline that is rapidly declining from number 1 to number 101 in the world. Cancer is not going down. In 1900, the cancer was less than 2%. Today, it's over 42%, and they predict that in the next decade, it will be over 50%. It'll be the number 1 killer in the country. Now, I was in a country called Gambia, third world country. And it's hard for some people to understand a third world country and how they function, but they're happy. They don't have the stresses that we have. There's people, they don't even have enough water for the house. I was staying with a doctor, and we were fortunate that they would deliver water to the house every day. Just like an oil truck would deliver oil, they would deliver the water, and they'd pour the water into the thing, and we'd have water for the day. But people would have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and walk to these dirty wells. You would never feed the water out of these wells to your dog, and these people were so thrilled to get a bucket of water and take it home and have this water for their family. Would you believe? I don't think you can believe it. But in Gambia, they have breast cancer. Guess what? How many women get breast cancer? 1 out of 500,000. New York City, with places like Sloan Kettering and so many doctors and those Park Avenue guys, they really know their stuff, don't they? And these Harvard and Yale medical school students, oh, they're the best, I want the best. I had one yo-yo one day, well, tell me, why should I go to you when I can... I said, that's where you want to go. Go right over to the murder capital. Get yourself killed. That's just what you want to do. Don't come to me. What do I know? Can I know what somebody can... could I make it into Harvard? I don't think I could make it into Harvard. I don't think I could make it into Yale or Princeton. These guys did. Of course, they couldn't memorize. They couldn't think any, but they could memorize this stuff. I had one Russian woman, medical doctor. She jumped ship in Russia, Soviet Union, and went to work for me. And every diagnosis, she was so good at memorizing. She passed the medical board in New York and New Jersey like nothing because she could sit down and memorize. She was heartless. She left her husband. Husband didn't even know she was gone. Just takes off on him. Takes her son with her. The husband's looking around for the son, comes home, and she's not there. She's on a ship, sailing westward. Every diagnosis that she made was an enlarged liver. I don't think I've ever had an exception. Examined people, oh yeah, large liver, okay. If you had a dog and you loved the dog, you wouldn't let this woman touch this person. Because they have a license by a state doesn't mean that they can think through a process. And ideas and concepts have consequences, people. And the whole concept, and this is where my argument has been as long as I've been in this field, my concept is not with sincere medical doctors or emergency doctors. I don't know where it would be without them. Mine is with the philosophy and the concept of this sorcery against the very principles of God Almighty when it comes to how the body heals. The body heals by way of detoxification, nutrition. And there's other aspects to it also, but what I'm introducing to you is something that you can do for yourself. You can get into your sauna. It's up to 180, 185 degrees, and you sweat, but it's a peripheral sweat. It's like being in an oven. Far infrared is completely different. This is the work that was done by John Harvey Kellogg, one of the top medical doctors that this country has ever had. 1876, did all this work. Healed every conceivable thing that you could imagine. There wasn't a condition that existed, including tuberculosis, cancer, every single thing. He has records and records, and the medical profession acts as if these things never even existed. But the far infrared is a healthy light wave. In fact, there'd be no life, no animal life, no vegetable life, no human life if it wasn't for far infrared. This is what makes this planet work. And in this unit, in this device, far infrared is penetrating. And it penetrates. It's a light wave that is penetrating about 3 inches into the body. So it's getting into the fat. If you've got excess fat, it's going to start to burn that fat. If there's toxins, it's going to start to burn those toxins. It raises the core temperature of your body about 4 degrees. Now, I'm writing a book on this because there's so much interest, there's so much research that I've found with this that it is so exciting. But I'm just giving you the highlights of it. When you raise the body core temperature about 4 degrees, what you're doing is you're burning off disease the same way as Hippocrates said in 2,500 years ago, and what he taught in every Greek medical school in the ancient empire. Give me a fever. I'll heal any disease. Every single culture, every single generation, go as far back as the Romans, far back as the Egyptians, far back as the Greeks, far back as Babylon, and you had sweat therapies. Dr. John Harvey Kellogg come up with a completely different concept of the far infrared because of its penetration. So you're in a temperature, a fraction of a sauna, about 112 degrees versus 180 degrees. But people, you sweat 3 times as much. I had one fella that went through the New York Police Academy in the middle of the summer and did not sweat in the middle of the summer. His wife said that she's married to him for 12 years, never seen him sweat. We gave him 2 treatments in that far infrared, and you've seen sweat like you'd never believe. Toxins coming out of his body, poisons coming out of his body. Some people, we take ether out of them. Stuff that they had put in 40, 50, 60 years ago. Fat gets burned off. My daughter will tell you her story. She has the story in there. She had 2 children, and you know what happens when you start to have children. You put a little fat on, and you know, we like to say, okay, we're going to take care of that tomorrow, or we try to ignore it and everything else. And she realized that she ran into a little stone wall with just doing the exercise and the diet. We started her on the ozone-infused far infrared. She has a before and after. I think she has a before and after available, but she'll at least tell you about it. And we have thousands of other people like this that transform their life with ozone-infused far infrared.
written a book. It was challenging the first one.
Because he wanted to be in the place of love.
Somebody came up with the idea.
And he was 100% accurate in his prediction.
Selenium, iodine, or calcium. You don't have to know any of that stuff. All you have to be able to do is chew.